Good day, my plant foldies. This is Richie at Grow Folds, and today we'll be big box store plant shopping at Lowe's in Plano, Texas. As always, please make sure you're hitting the like button for this video, as well as following me on Instagram at Grow Folds. That's the fastest way to get in touch with me. And you can see it is a beautiful morning out in Plano, Texas. And I just wanted to go back to Lowe's. I know that I've been going to a lot of Home Depots looking for that dock block Anthurium Michelle. I am so excited that I was able to find it and share that journey with you. But now we're gonna go back to Lowe's just to see what plants they have available, and I'm gonna also go to a grocery store just to see if they have any new releases. You already know that I do daily 1-hour plant shopping videos, and I'm just gonna go straight into the indoor tropical plants section. You can see right over here, Home Depot has a lot of amazing plants to choose from. You can see that we have some Live Trends planters, and like I've said in a lot of my videos, Live Trends always has some of the best, most seasonally relevant planters. You can see that they've got a snowman with a philodendron moonlight, one of my favorite plants, and look at this bromeliad right over here. Now this one is by Costa Farms for $13.98, and you know, with bromeliads, they are easy care plants. I would just say not to allow them to go through long bouts of drought. You want to make sure that you water them completely once the soil is completely dry. And then over here, so I love dark foliage plants, and I believe this is a philodendron red imperial. It's not a philodendron black cardinal, or I don't think it is, because I think the undersides of a philodendron black cardinal are completely black. And even though it is just a philodendron red imperial, it's still a beautiful plant. It can get very large as well. And then we can see right over here again, we have some bromeliads. And the thing about bromeliads is they do come in many varieties. Some of the more unusual ones you don't really see at big box stores, but I have grown to like bromeliads. And then as you can see, we do have a lot of these seasonal plants. So it is that time of the year where Costa Farms has released a lot of these Norfolk pines. This one, I believe, let's see, let's get rid of the water. And you already know that I've been going through a lot of these big box stores and basically pouring out that water, because again, a lot of these plants don't have drainage holes. They're in catch pots. And whenever the big box store may water them, we just want to make sure if you are going plant shopping, go ahead and just dump that water out, help the plant. But you can see that this place right here, I'm sorry, I was going to say Home Depot. As you can tell, I have been into so many Home Depots. I went to a total of 5 Home Depots looking for that dock block Anthurium Michelle. But anyways, like I said again, I am back to going to Lowe's. You can see that Lowe's does have a lot of these Christmas cactus, although some of my plant foldies, and if you are new to this channel, I call my viewers and subscribers plant foldies. Welcome, my name is Richie. They have been saying that these are actually Thanksgiving cactus and not Christmas cactus. And you can see right over here, they do have a bunch of little birds flying around in this Home Depot, which I find interesting. And then you can see right here, Philodendron Birkin by Live Trends Planters. This is for $24.98. It does have that that fake moss top dressing, which I'm not really a fan of. And then we have a Ficus Elastica Ruby right over here in a self-watering planter by Live Trends. Again, $24.98. And the thing about it is, I really think that if Live Trends was going to have a top dressing, I would rather have it be some type of gravel versus the fake moss. And the only reason why I say that is the fake moss may hold a little bit too much moisture for the plant to dry out completely, which could potentially cause root rot. I am just going through a bunch of urban jungle plants. Now these ones are for $22.98. So, you know, as far as going big box or plant shopping, you'll see the main 3 at Lowe's: Costa Farms, Urban Jungles plants, and Live Trends plants. Those are the main providers for at least the indoor tropical house plant section. You can see that is a Dracaena White Jewel. And then we have a Philodendron Macaulay's Finale. Really like that as well. Even though it does have a little bit of cosmetic damage, this is one of the easier philodendrons to take care of. And I do love the terracotta pot that Urban Jungle has. You know, those are new planters that they've had. And as far as Urban Jungle planters, I do think that they are just as pretty as the Live Trends planters. You can see right here, this is a Epipremnum aureum Pearls in Jade. Or Pearls in Jade Pothos. Really like that as well. And you know, I have been in my pothos era again. I have been collecting a lot of pothos plants. I've actually been getting multiples of like neon pothos, golden pothos. I've been propagating a lot, and you know, I am here for it. As far as these easy to care for plants, like this is a Scindapsus, I believe silver, and you know, I'm not really that versed about Scindapsus, but what I will tell you about Scindapsus is they do have that beautiful velvety texture. They have a lot more silver metallic shine to it, and they are a little bit slower in growth as compared to maybe a Epipremnum aureum or a pothos plant. And as far as pothos plants, again, you can see right over here, this one is just a gorgeous neon pothos. You can see that there has been some bird feces on it because they have some live nature, like, you know, birds just flying around this Home Depot. So this is kind of interesting. It's almost like a natural sanctuary for these birds. You can hear them chirping. Obviously, I took the chirping away because I am doing a voiceover, but as far as some of the birds, I just find it interesting that they are just living their best life in this Lowe's right over here. Homolomena Shelby, I am wanting to get this plant, but as far as a more intentional, curated collection, I have decided that there are some plants that I will just really be collecting, and that would be like the Aglaonemas and pothos. I will say this is a beautiful Epipremnum alplicum silver streak pothos. Gorgeous plant as well, and I just love that silver grayish foliage, and I just want to keep looking at it. And speaking of Aglaonema, $15.98. Thank you, Costa Farms, for really pushing out a lot of new Aglaonemas. So as far as this Aglaonema, I already have this one, but I don't know, I just can't miss out on this beautiful one right over here. You can never have enough Aglaonemas, and so I'm probably gonna go ahead and buy this Aglaonema. And then what I've been doing, since I haven't been able to acquire a lot of Lechuza pond, I am gonna go ahead and repot this into a semi-hydro substrate called Leca. And the thing about it is, I don't mind putting it in Leca because Aglaonema actually have thicker roots. They're very thick, so they don't necessarily need to be in Lechuza pond. I do believe that Lechuza pond, which is another great semi-hydro substrate, works best, especially for plants that have more fine roots. But as far as Aglaonema, like these are gorgeous. I wish I could buy every single one of them. I have been on a kick about just ordering and importing a bunch of Aglaonema. If you haven't followed my Instagram page at Growfolds, definitely check out my post. I'm doing some more big orders for, you know, some Aglaonemas. And for those that are my friends, you already know that you can put in an order. I can shoulder the import cost as well, as far as just like the shipping. But you know, send me a direct message, let me know if you're interested in getting some Aglaonemas. I have been getting them for a really good price, just because I have found, number one, some really good trusted sellers that I have bought from multiple times. I have never had a negative experience with at least the importers that I have been buying from the past year. And if you didn't see my my video haul on some of my Aglaonemas that I've imported in the past, definitely check that out. But anyways, going back to this big box store, one thing I do like about shopping, especially early in the morning, is just the gorgeous light that these plants receive. I mean, you can see right over here, Costa Farms has really been pushing out a lot of plants in self-watering planters. Again, these are for $15.98, and I will dub that Lowe's probably has the best selection of indoor tropical plants. This one I really want to rescue, and you can see that there is a little bit of a root cage for this Aglaonema. Now, if they put this on 50%, I would definitely buy this. And that's the thing about saving money at big box stores. If you go to a big box store like Lowe's, they will clearance out some of their plants. The only thing about the clearance plants is you have to be prepared to kind of rehab the plant, give it a little bit more care, just because a lot of the plants that do end up getting on clearance is because, number one, the plants have either been there for a long time, number two, the plant's health has declined, and number three, it's not as aesthetically perfect as it once was when it first reached the big box store. But other than that, you know, it really just depends on the time you place into your plants. And that's a running discussion that I've had, especially whenever I do these big box store plant shopping videos. You already know, as far as like the plant care tips, I will mention them. Like this one right here, $15.98. This is a Spathiphyllum or a peace lily. Very low light tolerant, very thirsty plant. You really want to water that on a daily basis. And then as far as having multiple plants, Epipremnum aureum neon pothos, classic plant. It is a plant that I literally could have a full room of, and I'm okay with it. What makes this pothos very appealing to me, at least, is the fact that it's fast growing, it's easy growing, it's you can propagate it and multiply, and it's readily available, and the price is not bad. $20.98 by Costa Farms. And you can see this is another golden pothos. So I am all about going back to the basics, and I mentioned this in some of my previous videos. As you can tell, I've been doing a lot more plant commentary, plant insights, versus just discussing the plant pricing, especially for those that have actually been following my plant journey for a year. You know that a lot of these plant pricings I've already mentioned. I've mentioned a lot about the plant care tips, but what I do want to touch base on, and I think it's important just to give you guys my opinions, my insights about plants. They always say that if there is a problem, usually the problem requires a basic approach to the solution. You know, everybody says, let's go back to the basics. What I would say is, if you are somebody that has been inundated by plants, you're struggling with your plant collection, and I am in the same boat as you. Like, I have some plants that are on the verge of making it to plant heaven. I have realized that by going back to the basics, going back to the basic plants, the easy care plants, you're able to reel that that energy, that passion, that excitement to grow plants again. Because nobody wants to see any plant really decline in its health, but sometimes some plants are just going to require a little bit more care than what we may be able to offer. I mean, you can see right here, I am, pretty much being blunt about this, but I would say we need to really get into Aglaonemas. I think we should all be looking at these Aglaonemas right here. For instance, this is an Aglaonema Golden Bay for $22.98 by Urban Jungle. And the reason why I mentioned Aglaonemas is it is a little bit more of an uncommon plant. The varieties are a little bit different. They're low light tolerant. They're very much so drought tolerant and very forgiving. So all of those factors really culminate to a really versatile houseplant for any space. Now, this Alocasia Ivory Coast, I love it, but it's a finicky plant. And the thing about Alocasias is, even though I have transferred them to Lechuza Pond and they have been able to grow with me a little bit better, they still require higher levels of humidity, and you really have to stay on top of their inspection in terms of just whether they get spider mites or not. They're very spider mite prone. And so I have this routine where I make my own DIY neem oil spray called the Foldy Mist, which is a combination of 2 tablespoons of neem oils, 2 tablespoons of rubbing alcohol, 70% strength, 2 tablespoons of hydrogen peroxide, a drop of dish soap. All those ingredients get pushed into a conventional spray bottle, fill it up with water, shake, 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 and I spray my plants with that almost every other day, or at least every 3 days, just to prevent the plant pest, and it has worked well for me. But as you can see right here, plant foldies, this Lowe's does have quite a bit of plants to pick from. Would I say that they have a bunch of new releases by Costa Farms? Not necessarily, but I don't mind that at all. I actually like it when, big box stores are at least able to maintain the beauty of their plants, the health of their plants. For the most part, these plants are acceptable for me. I feel like these are still viable plants that you can buy. I mean, a lot of these Costa Farms 6-inch planters, for instance, this Fiddle Fig Leaf, $12.97 with a wick. So a self-watering planter can be great for that. And then you can see right here, unfortunately, as much as I love the Snow White waffle plant, even though this is only for $5 or $7.98 in a 5.5-inch planter, I cannot add it to my collection. And the reason being is, no matter what I do, that plant ends up getting crispy and it just doesn't do well for me, even though I love pink plants. You already know that's the reason why I, collect Aglaonema. And then over here, plant foliage, you can see that we do have some beautiful ZZ plants right there from Costa Farms. Those are $29.97. And then we're gonna walk over here and look at some of these other plants. We've got some hanging baskets for $19.98. Some Golden pothos, and then philodendron heteroraceum right here, urban jungle. And you can see that it's already trailing, but notice how it does get a little bit leggy as it trails down. That's the thing about certain plants. As you let it allow to trail down, it gets a little bit more leggy. Sometimes the leaves actually get smaller and smaller. The majority of these, like philodendron heteroraceum, epipremnum aureum, or those pothos plants, they really want to climb up something like a pole, a moss pole, a plank, because in Mother Nature, they actually attach themselves to trees and their leaves get really large. I love this syngonium right here. This is a syngonium berry illusion. I really like the subtle red veining of it. It's really nice. And the thing about syngoniums, what I've started to realize is it's not necessarily an easy care plant in a sense that you do need to give it a little bit more light than I thought you needed originally. And then also you want to make sure that this particular plant is watered consistently. If you don't water a syngonium consistently, it ends up getting very leggy and it starts to lose its leaves. It just starts to decline in its health. Now, as far as all of these other plants right here, you can see that urban jungle and live transplanters, like this is a really good example of a beautiful philodendron heteroraceum. I love the hanging basket it's into. Beautiful ceramic planter, and I do love the leather hanging strings that it has. Very nice full philodendron heteroraceum. This is for $24.98. So if you want to pay just a little bit more for a philodendron heteroraceum, but you can see that it is shiny, it is healthy, and it's got a beautiful planter, I would definitely go with live transplanters, especially these ceramic hanging baskets. Now, for philodendron heteroraceum, Brazil, you can give it bright indirect light, although it can tolerate lower light conditions. I would water it when it is completely dry, and that's basically, it's very easy. Speaking of easy plants, so we do have more Costa Farms plants in self-watering planters. We've got a bunch of Sansevieria trifasciata or snake plants, and then also a Raven's Easy plant. That's a Costa Farms trading tropical for $19.98. You can see that Costa Farms does have a bunch of these trending tropicals. This one is an epipremnum aureum, lemon meringue pothos. Love that as well. And I will say that I ended up ordering on Costa Farms website for the very first time an 8-inch hanging basket of Manjula pothos. They actually had it in stock on sale. I had to get it, even though it is a little bit more pricey. It was $49, and you know, they didn't really release that at like a big box store. So I went ahead and bought it because, number one, Manjula pothos are hard to find in general, and then to find it in that size, I went ahead and just bought it. I wanted the instant gratification. So we're gonna look at this either Thanksgiving cactus or Christmas cactus. That one is for $12.98. And then we have some more Stendapsis Trubii Moonlight. I've been talking about buying that plant for a while, but I have yet to get it. You know, my plant budget has really been placed on importing a bunch of these plants from overseas. Although this one is only for $13.98. I almost wanted to buy it because it's such a nice and full neon pothos. Let me know in the comments, plant foldies, if you collect pothos plants, what you think about them, and if you think that everybody watching this video today, or if you found my YouTube channel, if you would grow a pothos plant. I really like engagement from y'all. I really hope that you will take the time to leave comments. I love hearing your stories about your plant collection, what plants you want, anything you want to put into the comment section. I respond to everybody's comments. And look at this hidden gem right here, another Aglaonema. I can't really pronounce the name of this one, but it is a gorgeous one. Look at that silver foliage. And again, as much, you know, color these Aglaonema have, and I love, love, love the white stems. This one can tolerate lower light conditions. I really implore everybody to go to like Lowe's, buy yourself a Costa Farms Aglaonema, even if it's something that you've never really considered. Definitely try it. I really think that you will enjoy that plant. Philodendron Summer Glory, beautiful plant as well, and it is actually one of the more underrated philodendrons, even though it's one of the easiest ones to take care of. I also want to show you these Aglaonema Red Siam, and even though it is probably the most basic Aglaonema you will find as compared to also the Aglaonema Silver Bay, I think if you're going to call yourself a plant foldie, a Grow Fold subscriber viewer, you should at least have one Aglaonema, whether it's the Aglaonema Silver Bay or the Aglaonema Red Siam. $15.98, and I'm telling you, super easy plant to take care of. If you wanted to push out more red margins or borders, give it more bright light. It actually can influence it to give you a little bit more of that reddish tone. Beautiful plant. And as far as, you know, importers that you could possibly buy from on Instagram, I would suggest following Green Spaces ID. And I know some people have some mixed reactions. Every single plant I bought from Green Spaces ID is amazing. And the fact that they have such open communication is amazing, as well as Art Garden Flowers on Instagram. Riki is one of the international plant vendors that was selling at PlantCon 2024, as well as the Texas Aeroid Show. He is awesome as well. And that's, you know, some of my sellers that I would suggest. Very easy to care for plants. And then over here, Sansevieria for $15.98. This is the bird's nest Sansevieria. It's super cute. And I really like the simplistic approach that Live Trends has for its plants. I mean, here's another Sansevieria. And I've actually upped my Sansevieria collection. I've really gotten a lot of new Sansevierias because I am going back to the basics. I've talked about really investing in easy to care for plants, looking at ways to simplify my plant journey, and just taking care of plants. You know, last week I was actually going through a rough patch. I was really trying to balance my time getting these YouTube videos up because it really does mean a lot to me to see you guys actually taking the time to watch my plant videos. I know a lot of my plant videos as of late has really been focused on plant hunting and really find that Doc Block Anthurium Michelle by Proven Winners. And the thing about it is, I am all about the hype sometimes, but it's more so for the viewers. I know a lot of you guys are looking for that. And since I'm always in a big box store, I figured I'd go ahead and do a little series on that. As far as that though, and then also work has been extremely stressful, but you know, I always revert back to my plants. I find sanctuary with my plants, and I find that being able to go around and watch and look at these plants, it's really good plant therapy for me. So, you know, as far as this Aglaonema though, that I am gonna buy, yes, I am gonna go ahead and treat myself. I'm gonna go ahead and treat myself to another gorgeous Aglaonema. I've also treated myself by buying some variegated poinsettias. Thank you to all the viewers who have actually left some insights about poinsettias. I think they're beautiful. I do want to try to grow them long term. It's not just going to be a seasonal plant, because I do have my opinions about seasonal plants being just plants that will last for about 3 to 4 weeks, and then a lot of them just end up going to plant heaven or getting composted. But speaking of seasonal plants, I did want to go to this next location, which is the Callaways nursery off of Preston Road. It is right next to the George Bush tollway, and this is one that I wanted to show you. So we do have a bunch of blooming Kalanchoe, but I was going to feature more of the seasonal plants and also talk about just how seasons change at local nurseries, where sometimes they downsize their indoor tropical plants to make room for poinsettias, live Christmas trees, amaryllis. Like this one right here, this amaryllis is for $19.99, and look at how gorgeous the bloom is. You know, I am all about these blooming plants. I think there's not a lot of dialogue about blooming plants being grown indoors, but I think the reason why not a lot of people grow indoor plants with blooms is because blooms, for the most part, do require a little bit more light. And what happens is when you're having to do a little bit more light for the plants, it is just a little bit more of a challenging situation. So I totally understand why it could be a little bit of a challenging thing. But as far as all of these plants right here, we've got a bunch of starters, $2.99 for some Christmas cactus, or for some people, they might think that this is a Thanksgiving cactus. I am actually thinking about getting one of these plants because I have been told that these are fairly easy. And then based on what people have told me in the past, a lot of times people acquire Christmas cactus or Thanksgiving cactus as more of a family heirloom. These have been passed down from maybe someone's grandmother, and knowing this, that means that that plant is probably going to be a little bit more easy to maintain. Like I've said again before, plant foldies, it is all about keeping things simple. It is all about just making sure that we have the time to take care of our plants. oftentimes, and I am definitely in the realm of this, we end up just having a difficult time growing plants because number one, we have really added a lot of plants to the point where we don't have time to take care of them. Number two, we may end up having too many plants to take care of them to the point where there might be some type of pest infestation that really devastates a collection. And then just number three, plant burnout. Plant burnout happens when you go back to that cycle of having too many plants. You have to really realize when to stop buying plants. I have yet to figure that out. Somebody said that I probably need to get some help. I don't think it's to that nature yet. I think that, you know, it's not really impacting my daily life. But at the same time, there has to be a point where you have to have plants that are really going to bring you joy, but also be able to admire and actually enjoy the plants, to slow down, sit down and just admire the foliage, the new growth, versus feeling like, oh my gosh, I have to go water X, Y, and Z plants. I have to clean this plant. I have to repot this plant. I have to do all of the other plant chores. I mean, that is really part of it. And I know, again, plant foldies, that a lot of my past videos this week have really been me just talking to you directly, because I've already talked a lot about the plant care tips. I will mention that as well as plant pricing. But like I said before, if you're following my YouTube channel, I do utilize this as more of a personal blog as well, just to talk to y'all directly. It's really interesting because a lot of y'all have actually mentioned that whenever you do your plant chores, you just listen to my videos. So I might as well just talk to you, maybe keep you company, act like I'm there as you're doing your plant chores, whatever is going to bring you joy. This whole process of making plant shopping videos this year has really brought me joy. 2025, my goals are to show more of my plant collection, to definitely get that elusive houseplant tour. Trust me, when it happens, it is going to be epic, but also just giving you a little bit more personal insight about the plants I've acquired. I've got quite a bit. I've got probably over 100 plants. So stay tuned for that. And now I did want to show you these poinsettias. And, you know, obviously the poinsettias are something that we will see in the holidays. You know, I went to that big box store, that Home Depot, where they had just rows and rows of poinsettias. I think these are gorgeous, but at the same time, there is a lot of care that's taken into account to get these poinsettias, to get those colors. So you got to think, right? These are not the blooms of poinsettias. It's actually just a coloration. It happens based on, I think, the lighting conditions or cycle of this plant. Now, poinsettias are originally from Mexico. And, you know, as far as this being a holiday plant, somebody did leave in the comments that, you know, the story of the poinsettia, which I thought was really epic. And it really gave me some insights about the poinsettias. I did want to show you a couple of the indoor tropical plants Callaways Nursery has. $59.99. This is a variegated bird's nest fern. That's a really cool looking one. But as far as ferns, again, plant foldies, I don't really collect ferns because the watering is just not going to be in the realm where I can maintain them on a consistent basis. So I tend to kind of stay away from ferns, although these bird's nest ferns, if I am going to add a fern to my collection, it would definitely be a bird's nest fern. I do feel like they would be a little bit more manageable for me to take care of. So we'll see. And you can see right over here, staghorn fern, $16.99. And the thing about it is, if you are in the local Dallas-Fort Worth area, there are so many varieties, or not varieties, there's so many locations of Callaways that you would be able to find some of these really nice looking plants. And Callaways Nursery typically has the same plants cycled out in a lot of the locations. Now, every location, the sizing might be a little different, but as far as the actual plants, they are phenomenal and they are actually fairly cost effective. But you can see right here, I mean, we do have a bunch of these bird's nest ferns. So I'm just gonna keep walking around and showing you some of the tropical plants. I will say a lot of the tropical plants have been downsized. I don't know if Callaways Nurseries are going to get more plants or if they're just really gonna focus on some of the seasonal plants that they will have. Obviously poinsettias, obviously Christmas or Thanksgiving cactus, and the groves and groves of live Christmas trees. we do have some beautiful pothos plants right here, golden pothos. These are 50% off, so these are only going to be $12.99, a really good price for a hanging basket of pothos. I love them, and I think it's one of those plants that I just feel like we can grow, and it's another plant that I feel like is so underrated. Most people just kind of look past it. And in the same thing with bromeliads. So I talked about the different varieties of bromeliads. Whenever you go to a local nursery like Callaways nursery, you'll see many varieties. Obviously you'll see these ones right here that you see at big box stores, but I'm just gonna walk around and show you the other varieties where they have really nice, beautiful pink colors. With bromeliads, again, you want to make sure that the watering is consistent. You want to make sure that if the soil is dried out completely, that you go ahead and water it again. You know, as far as bromeliads, that's something that I would want to buy, and that's only for $19.99. Look at how beautiful this is. Obviously, if you're gonna actually have one, if you're going to display it, some people even display them on walls. I think that's really cool. Or in the low, you know, like maybe on the floor where you can see the top view of it. I love the look of these bromeliads, and if I'm going to buy a bromeliad, I would definitely buy one of these pink ones right here. I love pink plants. Let me know in the comments if you love pink plants. But these bromeliads are fairly easy to take care of, and you can see that there's many different varieties. There's some really uncommon ones where they have more of like a cylindrical form, but let me know in the comments if you actually like bromeliads. These are, again, $19.99 at Callaways Nursery. And so for those that are based out in the Dallas-Fort Worth area, I am based out in North Dallas, so the suburbs up there. I feel very fortunate that, number one, we have many Callaways nurseries. Like literally there's a Callaways nursery available to me within a 10-minute radius at any given point. Same thing with all of these big box stores and local nurseries. So Dallas-Fort Worth, we really have a good plant community, but I also wanted to highlight the fact that we have an amazing plant community at the Grow Folds channel. I mean, you plant foldies are amazing. And for those that actually tune into my live premiere chats for my plant compilation videos or plant marathon videos, those are basically previous episodes, but I put that in with the intention of maintaining a live chat. I know that some of you guys actually look forward to interacting with each other. You know, I wanted to shout out Evelyn from Trinidad and Tobago. You're always on the live premiere chats. Kathy from Canada, you're always on the live premiere chats. Jay Bear, who always says hello. I am always excited to see Jay Bear on the live premiere chats. And Bella from Houston, thank you for always being on the live premiere chats. It means a lot to me just to see some of the regulars. And if I missed you on this shout out, just know that I've seen y'all on the live premiere chats, and it just brings me a lot of joy. Now, going back to some of these plants, so we're going to look at some of these orchids, and these are what you call the dendrobium orchids. So dendrobium orchids are definitely different from the phalaenopsis orchids that we see a lot, but dendrobium orchids have started to make it into big box stores, but mostly these other unusual orchids are found at a local nursery. And I like to combine local nursery plant shopping versus big box store plant shopping. I want to give you a little bit more plant content. I don't know, I just love talking about plants. Can you tell? Let me know in the comments if you just like looking at plants as well. $49.99. These are the Alocasia variegated Friedex. I have one that was given to me as a present, and you know, for those that have given me gifts, presents, I really appreciate it, whether it's in the form of a super sticker monetary tip on the YouTube channel. It does help me with my plant budget. I've had people just give me plants. I really appreciate that as well. And you know, that Alocasia variegated Friedex was given to me by my friend Rena, who owns Rena's greenhouse. She is a seller that was actually selling at PlantCon. So I really love that. And you can see right here blooming anthuriums, and I swear I've been talking about anthuriums all week because I was hunting that Dock Block Anthurium Michelle by Proven Winners, and it's crazy because once it hit the market in Dallas, I can tell you, if you're going to be looking for a Dock Block Anthurium in the Dallas-Fort Worth area as of today, there most likely will not be one because a lot of those plants ended up just even selling before the Home Depot was able to even display them. They were literally opening up those racks that were sitting outside, and yeah. Now this is a Schefflera that I was thinking about buying because I wanted to actually make this into a Schefflera bonsai. I may come back to it if it's around because, you know, as far as bonsai, I do have a couple of them. I really need to give you guys updates on some of my plants. I would love to share you what's going on with my plants because I don't know, I have a lot. I talk about plants a lot, and yeah. Now here is the Monstera constellation. These are for $39.99, and you know, Monstera constellations, it is an example of a plant that was highly sought after. It's still sought after, but the plant pricing has gone down because of the ability to tissue culture it. It's more readily available. Golden pothos, $6.99 in a 4-inch planter. Really good price actually. And like I said again, if I were to choose between a Monstera constellation versus several pothos, call me crazy, but I actually would choose the pothos plant because they are just easier to take care of. Their basic needs are always met, and it's one of those plants that I just feel like is just much easier to take care of. Callaways Nursery has many varieties. You can see they've got the neon pothos, and you can actually buy a bunch of these neon plants, like these pothos plants, and maybe even have like a living wall. I saw on Amazon that there was like pouches where you can just kind of hang it on a wall and have a living wall. $16.99, beautiful Epipremnum aureum neon queen pothos. So this is a variegated version of the neon pothos to maintain the actual neon color or that variegation. You really got to provide it with quite a bit of light. So that's the thing about some of these queen type pothos, whether it's marble queen pothos or the newer version of neon queen, you have to provide it with quite a bit of light in order for it to really maintain its beautiful variegation. More bright indirect light is really going to push out lighter colors, and I definitely am going to go ahead and buy one of these neon pothos because why not? Like I said again, I am going back to the basics. I'm going back to the easy care plants. I'm going back to the more cost-effective plants, and that's going to be pothos plants and Aglaonema. So hopefully you guys will still tune into my plant videos because I will be talking more extensively about those particular plants. I really want to try to influence everybody to really turning on a different lens when it comes to collecting plants. I think, again, basic is better because basic means it's less heartache, less stress. You'll be able to like slow down and really look at all of that beautiful growth and, you know, the simplicity of a basic plant. I mean, some people are really dedicated to plant collections. I am a little bit more envious for those that have, number one, more time, number two, have like dedicated greenhouses to where you can have higher humidity levels. Now, as far as this is a Pearls and Jade pothos, again, for only $6.99, and then more neon pothos right here. Let me know in the comments if you like pothos plants, or if you don't like pothos plants, leave a comment as well, because I like to just kind of get a pulse about what my plant folding community is into. I'm really trying to direct you guys to more of these basic and easy care plants because we have been getting more viewers. I'm kind of curious to see if a lot of my viewers are more seasoned veterans that actually collect very niche plants, or if you're like me that will pretty much enjoy any plant that's given to me. It's just really important for me to celebrate plants in a way where it's one that will just bring you joy. And I know that that has become a running theme in a lot of my conversations with our plants, our plant lovers. And you can see over here, it has become downsized. And you know, speaking of anthuriums, look at this anthurium right here. They had a lot of those in crates, and it looks like they don't have as many left. And then we have an Epipremnum pinnatum Cebu Blue pothos, and you already know I have to talk about the fact that, you know, my family is originally from the Philippines. Really excited to see some of these Epipremnum pinnatums, which are endemic to the Philippines. They're literally weeds. And whenever I went on vacation to the Philippines, a lot of those plants were literally weeds. And whenever I was filming some of my content to show y'all, people thought it was really hilarious because these plants are, you know, plants that it's just basically part of their landscape. It's not something that people are just all about. It was more of just, it's in their landscape, but we grow them as actual house plants. Now, as far as Aglaonema, look at this Aglaonema Sparkling Sarah. Now, with the more pink versions of the Aglaonemas, they tend to grow even slower than the green versions. They are a little bit more finicky in a sense. And when I say finicky for an Aglaonema, as in you just need to give them a little bit more light if you want the better variegation. You know, the care tips for Aglaonema is do not water it too often. I would say wait till the soil is completely dry before you water them. That's that easy. Or you could be like me where you just transfer them in either Lechuza Pon or Leca. A lot of my new imports I've actually put straight into Leca and they've been doing very well. There's not a lot of shock into it. I almost want to do just a live feature of some of my import Aglaonemas. I literally have a table of over 45 Aglaonema and it is growing at such a rapid pace and I'm okay with it. Syngoniums right over here. These are for $24, I think. Yeah, $24.99. They're a little bit more pricey, but you know, it is a nice full Syngonium. Now, again, with Syngoniums, they can get leggy in a sense that if you do not water them completely and stay on top of the watering, that's where you start to run into problems. I do like the fact that these are super full and you know, there's nothing better than finding a very full Syngonium. What I would say is if your Syngonium is a little bit leggy, you can take lots of cuttings and then water propagate them and just wait for just a little bit of that root to develop in the water and then just plant them back into the mother plant. That's one way of getting a more full and thick plant. That's something that has worked out for me. And you know, as far as my Syngoniums, I am back at Syngoniums as well. That's another plant that I'm going back to is Syngoniums. You know, a lot of my plant collection, it goes in cycles. It's very cyclical. You know, one day I was all about trying to get more Alocasias and then I had to reel it back because it's one of those things where I would rather have a plant that I know is going to be easier to take care of versus, you know, trying to struggle by trying to keep up with some plants. I will also say as far as, you know, me mentioning plants like Calatheas or Alocasias, if you grow them, I don't want you to think that I am really trying to discourage people about growing those plants. I think if you're able to grow them, kudos to you. But I also want to make sure that we can grow this plant community. And the way we can grow it is by getting people acclimated to more of the easy care plants like this neon pothos. This one is for $16.99. And, you know, if you are going plant shopping this weekend, I would recommend buying yourself a pothos plant. This one is really nice and full and it's already trailing. $16.99, a neon queen pothos. That is another plant that I would say we should go ahead and add to our collection. It's one of the more newer varieties of pothos, but it is another plant that regardless, you know, pothos are still super easy to take care of. I love them and they are just easy. I mean, point blank, super easy. So I'm just gonna keep walking around showing you these plants. I did also want to feature these Monstera constellations in 10-inch planters right here. I believe they're for, let's see, $79.99. That's actually not a bad price if you want more of an instant gratification for Monstera constellations. I would say that the plant pricing for Monstera constellations is going to become even more or less next year because they are so readily available. And it gets to the point now where you're just going to have to look for Monstera constellations that have higher variegation. Now I'm going to just feature some more of these poinsettias. You can see that they've got the red versions of here, the ones that you will commonly see. But as far as poinsettias, I'm really loving the variegated versions with the red and white or like cream variegation, as well as the pink ones. And I am thinking about, and that's the thing, for me, it's all about trying to collect every single one in the genus. And that's not always, the best way to go about collecting plants. But like these ones right here, look at this beautiful poinsettia, and just look at the coloration of that. I would love to get some of these smaller 4.5-inch poinsettias. Like I definitely want to get this variegated one right here. Look at how pretty this is. Let me know in the comments if you would actually buy this poinsettia, or if you would actually just grow a poinsettia in general. These are only for $7.99. I would like to add a poinsettia to my collection, but I honestly want to add a poinsettia to my collection because I want to be able to grow it long term. Now, people mentioned that it is challenging to get those colors to come out around this time of the year. There is a whole process which I am not really fully aware of, so I'm going to do a little bit of research. And that's the thing about plants. Again, whenever you're going big box store plant shopping, in order to really make sure that you stay within the parameters of saving money, know what kind of plant you're possibly going to buy. And then if you're going to buy that plant, have some sort of research done already about the plant care tips. It's just going to make your life a lot easier. And then obviously lean into your own personal experiences with the plants. You know, growing plants in general, it's all about just trial and error, learning from our mistakes. And I am hoping that I will learn a little bit more about poinsettias. And now we're gonna finally go to the grocery store plant shopping. This is a Kroger off of Custer Road in Frisco, Texas. As always, please make sure you are hitting the like button if you've already made it this far into the video. I would really love for you to help, push the engagement of this channel. I mentioned this in every single video multiple times, and I don't have any shame doing so because I have goals to try to get even more viewers to watch these plant shopping videos, because then if we have a bigger community at the Grow Fold channel, it'll be a lot of fun to just chat with each other. I did want to show you the clearance prices of Kroger grocery. The thing about it is I like to go plant shopping and even go grocery store plant shopping because a place like Kroger will have their plants reduced. This is a bromeliad for only $7.50. So it's literally half off and it's still a viable plant. We've got a peperomia right over here. This one I think is the peperomia owl. Watermelon peperomia, and that's only for $10. So really nice looking plants. We've got a ficus lyrata over here. Let's take a look. $10.10. That's not a bad price at all, and it's a still pretty healthy looking plant. And I believe this pothos plant is also for $10.10. Not a bad plant price at all. And the thing about it is, you already know that pothos, golden pothos, is going to grow well for most people. I don't really foresee it being a challenging plant to grow. But just like all of the other seasonal plants, I would say this particular Kroger's, you can see $4.99, so you can buy even more cost-effective plants that are seasonal. So that's the thing about grocery stores, especially Kroger. I think when you compare them to big box stores and local nurseries, I think when it comes to seasonal plants, or at least based on my experience, Kroger plants, for instance, $4.99 versus $7.99 at a local nursery versus $9.99 at a big box store. So I love, throwing out plant pricing. I have been doing this for about a year now, and it's crazy how I learned the actual market price and then the markups for plants, and I'm able to really calculate whether it is a good investment for me when it comes to buying plants. So if I'm going to buy some more poinsettias, I would buy this poinsettia for $4.99. Now the color itself, I'm not as keen into it. Now if they had variegated poinsettias or pinker poinsettias, I would definitely buy one or two today. Poinsettias do make good holiday gifts as a seasonal gift. The only thing about it is I wouldn't necessarily bank on the person getting that poinsettia as being able to grow that long term. And then you can see right here, we've got a bunch of blooming mums or chrysanthemums right here. They're actually in full bloom now. And then we also have Callia lilies. I do like the look of Callia lilies. Now these are only for $14.99. Beautiful, cute plant. That is a plant that is also considered a perennial in some of your grow zones. My grow zone is 8B North Dallas. And so, with certain plants that are considered perennials, and for those that don't know what the term perennial means, it's really for outdoor gardening, where that particular plant can potentially grow back year after year. It just keeps coming back. And chrysanthemums, mind you, even the ones that we see here, you can plant them in a landscape and they will come back year after year. So that's really interesting. And something to share about my home country, the Philippines. So the Arabian jasmine, or what you call the sampaguita, as we call it in Tagalog, my grandmother has been able to grow it as a perennial in North Houston, and I thought that was really interesting. And then you can see over here, we do have some more orchids, Phalaenopsis orchids. You already know that Kroger has some beautiful Phalaenopsis orchids. Now, the more purple and blue colors, those are actually dyed. Those are, you know, orchids that have been exposed to like food coloring, and that dye has kind of gone into those white blooms. I don't know how I really feel about it. I think that the coloration just looks too unnatural for me. I mean, leave in the comments in the comment section, plant foldies, if you agree. But for me, I feel like those colors are a little too stark. And what's interesting about Mother Nature is there's very few true blue blooms or just blue colored plants in general. I find that interesting. But as far as the dye though, I mean, you can see right there, what'll happen is if you get this plant, you'll have that bloom, but then once it reblooms again, if you're able to get the Phalaenopsis orchid to rebloom, it will be a white bloom or something of that color. But as you can see here, I'm gonna just walk around and show you the Phalaenopsis orchids. I do like them. I have a variegated Phalaenopsis orchid that I'm hoping will rebloom for me soon. It has been out of bloom for a couple months now, but as far as the Phalaenopsis orchid blooms, they usually last about a month, maybe a month and a half, maybe even 2 months, just really depending on your care. Now, as far as Phalaenopsis orchids, you want to make sure that you're not repotting it while it's in bloom. When you do repot it, or if you want to repot it, you want to pot it up in a substrate that's either orchid bark. I would honestly prefer orchid bark versus keeping the Phalaenopsis orchid in sphagnum moss, because I feel like sphagnum moss can hold too much water for a long time, and Phalaenopsis orchids, or just orchids in general, can root rot very easily. In nature, they are what you call epiphytes. And so a lot of times Phalaenopsis orchids will just attach themselves to tree bark or something of that nature, where literally their roots are just exposed in the air. And then you can see Wild Interiors has a bunch of little succulents. I had to try and get some succulents in there for all of my plant foldies that enjoy succulents. So we're just gonna keep walking around and seeing what other plants they have available at Kroger. Plant foldies, you can see that we do have some Phalaenopsis orchids again that are pink and dyed, and all of the other plants that I was showing you as far as the tropical plants, all of them are usually sourced out by Mason Farms or Costa Farms. But as far as these orchids, I believe these orchids are sourced out from a grower out in California. I do love the different phases of orchids. Look at these faces right here, beautiful blooms. And for those that actually grow Phalaenopsis orchids, let me know in the comment section if you actually have had really results growing Phalaenopsis orchids. I only just have one, and you know, it's one of those plants that could easily put you in a rabbit hole because you want to just collect every single one. Luckily, I've been able to have a little bit of restraint as far as growing Phalaenopsis orchids. It is another plant that I feel like is readily available. It's easy to take care of, and it's one that you can find at a pretty good cost-effective price. I would recommend buying them at grocery stores because typically grocery stores will have some good plants. And then I did want to show you some of these seasonal plants. So you'll see that we have some pines right here that are available. And as far as this is a $14.99 dwarf Alberta spruce pine. Now the thing about this is this plant actually requires quite a bit of plants. You know, these plants right here, these pine actually require quite a bit of light is what I mean. Full sun, honestly. So growing them indoors long term is not an option, or I don't feel like it would be. And then look at this variegated Hoya caryi for $14.99. That's actually an amazing deal. And that's the thing about finding Hoya caryi specifically. If you're looking for it, I would go to Kroger grocery stores. I mean, that is a really good plant price for a variegated Hoya caryi. You know, these plants right here are typically priced at like more than $20, but you know, at Kroger grocery you can get it for I think it's at $13.99 or $14.99. Either way, it's going to be a more cost-effective Hoya to get. And then you can see that, you know, as far as just the variegation, it's lovely. And then we have a Peperomia obtusifolia marble. That is also a beautiful plant. Really like the fact that this is another plant that I feel like is underrated for $9.99. Most people are not running to try to grow this, but this is another plant that is number one, very easy to take care of because it's very forgiving. And then just number two, it's just easy to take care of, again, because it's very forgiving. So, and then we have got a Peperomia piccolo. Now these types of peperomias, I feel like I struggle more so with because they are a little bit more susceptible to spider mites. You know, that's one detail I did want to share. And I also think that, you know, overwatering them can actually hurt them as well because their stems will actually rot fairly easily. So if you're going to grow that type of peperomia, you want to go ahead and bottom water them versus getting the top because you don't really want to get that foliage wet. And then we've got a Hydra. Well, that was a Hydra helix, but this one right here is a Pilea peperomoides, or a Chinese money plant. And I'm just going to keep walking around here. You can see that they've got more of that autumn colored poinsettias, more of a peach pink tone about it. Let's see how much this costs. That's only for $9.99, and that is a really nice size poinsettia. You know, poinsettias are everywhere. I am curious, plant foldies, again, let me know in the comment section if you've grown poinsettias, if you're going to buy poinsettias this season, and what you think about them. All of your plant commentary and insights are really appreciated, and I just like hearing from y'all. But as you can see, they've got a lot of nicer poinsettias, at least the orange varieties. I wish they had more pink. And speaking of pink, we've got some polka dot plants. And as much as I want to grow this plant, I even tried to grow it in Lechuza Pond, and it just did not work out for me. So you already know that that is a plant that, unfortunately, in my care conditions, my environment is just not going to work out for me. So I can't add that to my collection. I'm really trying to keep things simple. And as far as like simplicity of plants, can you guys also let me know in the comment section what you've done to kind of simplify your routines? Did you avoid certain plants like this Calathea lancifolia, for instance, or did you just downsize your plants? So whether you had 100 plants and all of a sudden you only have 20, let me know in the comment section. You know, I'm really trying to figure out what everybody's doing to simplify their plant collection. I've been seeing a lot of social media posts where we've had a bunch of YouTubers, for instance, where they've had plant burnout. And speaking of plant burnout, we do have a podcast, a plant podcast, if you haven't already heard, called the Cultivation Corner. We have an episode specifically dedicated to how to get out of plant burnout. So definitely stay tuned for that. And I did want to show you this because this is a really cool Epipremnum pinnatum Cebu Blue pothos. And the reason why I find it interesting, it's $19.99. So it's a little pricey, but the leaves are larger and starting to fenestrate, and it's fenestrating even though it's not on a pole. With the Epipremnum pinnatum Cebu Blue, it is a light sucker. Like, it really needs a little bit more light, and it's not as drought tolerant as a typical pothos plant. But this one has some really nice healthy leaves, and that's the thing about the Cebu Blue pothos. More light is going to give you more of that silver tone, and if you grow it up a moss pole or a totem pole, that is when it's going to actually give you the larger leaves, and it starts to like fenestrate. It starts to have little holes on its leaves, and I find it very endearing and beautiful. I'm not going to spend $19.99 for it though. This one right here is a ZZ plant, one of the easiest plants to take care of. It is a very overlooked, underrated plant, but it's one of those plants that, again, if you want to just kind of get yourself in plant collecting, I would totally get a ZZ plant. I would totally start off with basic easy care plants that you typically can find at a big box store. Now here is another Hoya carrii with a little splash on it. This is just a green version, but I do think that this might have some splashy tones to the Hoya. What I like about Hoyas, and I mentioned this in all my videos, is Hoyas are very forgiving in a sense that you don't have to water them as often. And you can tell when they need to be watered, because if you touch the leaves, they're a little bit more flattened, but they will actually recover within a day if you water them. They bounce quite, back pretty quickly. Alocasia stingray, I find this really cute. I have one and I need to go ahead and make that conversion to lechuza pon very soon, because it is growing outdoors under one of my Japanese maples actually, and it's done very well. That's another solution for any plant that you might be struggling with. If you're able to grow your outdoor tropical or your indoor tropical plants outdoors in a shaded area that gets some morning light, I'm telling you, the pests will go away. It will put on more growth and it will just recover. That's another way to rehab a plant, is literally just growing it outside. For some reason, Mother Nature, the fresh air, I don't know what it is, but it is like steroids for a particular plant when you put them in there. You can see that one right there though, that ZZ plant is on clearance. And then look at how pretty that poinsettia is. So plant foldies, let me know in the comments again what you think about all of the plants I featured today. I will be doing a lot of new plant content since I am off this weekend. We are finishing up some of the editing for the Cultivation Corner podcast. It will be debuting on December, the first week of December, so stay tuned for that. We're thinking about doing a watch party. For now, make sure you are following us on Instagram at the Cultivation Corner to get the latest updates. Definitely subscribe to the Cultivation Corner YouTube channel. That is eventually where all of our plant podcast episodes will appear. The debut episode will appear on this channel, Growfold. So if you haven't already, make sure you're subscribed to the YouTube channel with all the notification bell on. Double check if all notifications are on versus just personalized notifications, so you don't miss any plant post that I do on the YouTube channel. And again, plant foldies, it has been an amazing week. It has been a very stressful week, but I always go back to my plants and making this plant content, and it kind of makes all of the stress go away. And at least I've been able to take a little time for myself. So if you see me do a compilation video or a marathon, please still watch the video, support me, but that's my way of buying myself a little bit of time just to unwind and relax and just kind of recharge. But as far as the plants, you can see that, Lowe's has some good plants, Kroger has some good plants, local nurseries have some good plants. It is the weekend. I'd love to see if anybody is doing some plant shopping. And if you are, share that in the comment section. I'd like to see what type of plant finds you get. Just be mindful about your plant budget. Unless you have indispensable income, you can go ahead and send me a plant as well. As always, please make sure you hit the like button for this video. It has been a fun video to create, as well as subscribe to my YouTube channel at Growfolds. This is Richie. I'll see you with a brand new video tomorrow.